So you're here at Exeter. You used to work at Michigan,
Yeah.
and you're from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Where did you go to undergrad? Like, where's all that space in between? What's happening in between?
Yeah, no, great. So the journey is K through 12 in Rhode Island exclusively. Then I was like, I'm not going anywhere else for college. So I stayed in Rhode Island and I ended up attending the University of Rhode Island, where I majored in communications and graduated in 2015.
Yeah. So a lot of people, when they're like raised in one place their whole life, they're like, yo,
Yeah.
get me out of here.
Yeah.
And Rhode Island's a small container too.
Right.
But you were like, nah, this is home. Like, I'm
Yeah.
chill with how I want to be by the family. Like,
Yeah, and I'm not gonna hold you like that. You're exactly right. And to be honest, when I went to URI is what people affectionately name it.
Yeah.
When I went to URI, it was a quick bus ride, 45-minute bus ride from school to my house. I would say it's like frowned upon because I was living on campus, but I didn't want to commute because 45 minutes is still 45 minutes, and to and from it's annoying. So I lived on campus, but I would go home every Friday and most weekends. I eventually became an RA, so sometimes I'd have to be on duty, which meant that I couldn't always go home. But yeah, man, Rhode Island was it. For anybody who was raised in Rhode Island, I think they would agree generally that growing up in Rhode Island, it becomes really comfortable, and it can be tough to see yourself leaving. And one of the things that's so funny about when I moved to Michigan for the first time, two things. One, the New England vibe generally is not people approaching you and like making small talk and being super kind. Not that they're all mean, but I think New England has a different vibe. When you go to the Midwest, people, like I'd be at the bus stop and people were like, hey, like, how you doing? And like would be striking up a whole convo. And I'm like, yo, I don't even know you. Like why are you talking to me? But it was I think it was a cultural shift that I was experiencing that I wasn't able to really feel out until a couple months living in Michigan of like, oh, people here are just like generally a bit more approachable. And in New England, Rhode Island in particular, and Providence, like folks weren't really operating that way. It might be different now, right? Things change as you grow up. But so yeah, that was the vibe. That's my school trajectory.
Yeah. How did you get your mind wrapped into this like academic space? Like we talked about this earlier, but it's not like as formal as it might seem on paper.
Right.
You have a professional job. You're an important person, but you also have that like down to earthness. So when I say like this academic space, that almost sounds like harsh or whatever, but still like when did you even get your mind in that trajectory?
Yeah, this is a good question. I think that for a long time, I know that for a long time when I was in graduate school, especially as I was at Michigan State, I had this idea of myself that like as the first person in my family to get a bachelor's degree and go to college in my immediate family and then go on to get a master's, like there was this immense amount of pressure, and anybody who was the son of immigrant or the child of immigrant parents would probably feel the same about what I'm saying. But going to graduate school and pursuing my master's as the first in my immediate family to do that, I think there was this immense pressure I felt to like be in the right career. And by the right career in my head, that meant like I'm gonna be making lots of money, I'm gonna have a lot of respect in the professional world, and all these like things that really were about curating an image for people to perceive me in a certain way. And almost none of my aspirations during that time had to do with like, man, I wonder what it'd be like for me to be happy and have a career that gives me the flexibility to like do the things I want to do. And so for a long time, man, I thought I was either going to be a dean of students at like an elite college or university, or end up in academia. To your question, right? Like, how did I end up in the academic space? So I'm somebody who loves engaging with intellectual ideas and like being able to have rigorous convos with people. And I recognize that the life of folks in those spaces is not necessarily the life that I felt aligned with when I graduated from grad school and had a few years working. I was like, oh, I think I'm starting to understand myself a bit more. And this whole thing about like having a certain kind of reputation intellectually or professionally, like obviously I want people to understand that I do good work, and I try to strive towards that. But I don't ever want to sacrifice my ability to have a life that feels worthwhile outside of work, which is why I think I talked earlier in one of the questions about the importance of having students understand that their value to me is not centered on like their GPA or what they produce in an intellectual context. Like I really value students for the relationships I get to build with them off the strength of like I'm getting to know you as a human.
I've been learning to think along those same lines.
Yeah.
Like middle school or elementary school, it's almost like you're just told what to think, and like grades is value. But when you're at a space like this, everyone's such a high achiever already. I've been like kind of cutting out that glare of like, oh, someone has a super high GPA, but like let's like connect, let's talk as, you know, thinkers.
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful point you're bringing up, because I think it's hard to genuinely engage with people when, on any level, not just like young people, but I think adults too, when you're so bombarded with all these messages about what you're supposed to think and who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do. It can be hard to assess for yourself, like, yo, where am I actually at? How do I feel about all these things that I'm getting told I'm supposed to be and I'm supposed to think? And so, you know, to anchor back to your question about how I ended up in this like highly academic space, I realized that what I value about education outside of like the intellectual environment and like getting to curate spaces where students and adults feel like they're represented and have their experiences feel inclusive, or have experiences that they feel like are inclusive of the things that they have learned or have been exposed to throughout their upbringing. There's this other piece for me of like, how do I make the space of education feel a bit more humanizing? And I think a more direct example that I can provide is my investment in doing work with like young men around questions of like what it means to be a man. So whenever I'm doing work, whether it's here informally, like I have a program in Soul Hall called Soul to Soul, where we talk about masculinity, and we had a conversation recently that was called like aura farming, the performative male, and, you know, kind of talking through like, why do people end up engaging in performative actions, especially young men, in ways that might go against what they internally feel about themselves? And there was a lot of dialogue about like the pressures of fitting in, the tensions of like trying to figure out what you're actually feeling versus not wanting to get made fun of for like being open and vulnerable with your homies about what you're feeling. So there's all these like different things happening for people. And I think I'm feeling more and more inspired every day to figure out like, how do I get folks to stop living solely in the intellectual abstraction land and like get to, yo, what am I actually feeling about my environment and what's happening to me? So I think that's what keeps me in the education space, but I try to make sure that I have a life outside of here.
That's just making me think like we might need to have a second episode just off of that.
Yeah, and I feel it. Yeah, I'd be open to it for sure.
Yeah, that's deep. I want to talk about a little bit your role in E3 and EQ because that was a big part of like the beginning of my Exeter journey. Yeah. While you were just mentioning everything about that pressure being like the first one in your immediate family to go to college and everything like that, I was just thinking about my mom because she had the same thing, where she was the first one in like her immediate family to go to university with her immigrant parents too. And I remember her parents, I think they wanted her to be like a doctor.
Okay.
Just something traditional, like clean cut, you know?
Yeah, same.
But yeah, that reminded me I made that connection. And I'm imagining a lot of that is what kind of pushed you into this E3 space. And why don't you tell everyone what E3 is if they don't know?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, E3 stands for the Equitable Exeter Experience, and it's a pre-orientation program that happens right before the start of school. And it's a program for students who identify as part of the LGBTQ plus community, are first generation, high financial need, and or will be the first person in their family to attend college, so first generation. And the program really just acts as an opportunity for students to get familiar with campus life, campus culture, and to already start building really important relationships that'll help them succeed at Exeter, because getting accepted is just one part of the hurdle of like being here. I think the other obstacle that often can pop up for students is just like learning how to be a student at Exeter once things start and you're like in the thick of the day-to-day. So I think EQ really just acts as an opportunity for students to get a little bit of prep and support before starting their Exeter journey. And so I'm thankful that I got to meet Craig through that experience, and you know, we're here, we're vibing, we're thriving, and the program's been going for a few years now, and we're always looking to iterate on it and make it better and provide student support to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
And shout out to Dr. Bramlett, who's the director of equity and inclusion, and not only my boss, but I think an important thought partner in how EQ ends up being as successful as it is. So shout outs to her.
Yeah, everything you just mentioned, that does describe it perfectly. When I was going into the program, and it's just like it's like a 3-day little thing, I was excited just to like get to know people just before school, you know. But I remember when we all did the go-karting at
Oh
that one place.
at a Hilltop Fun Center, man. Yeah.
It was like just that. It's just about that like unexpected like fun times, like getting to know people. You know, I was lapping a few kids.
Yeah, no, but I gave everybody the work in go-kart. I'm just saying, I'm the undisputed champ. The streets might tell you different. I have a few haters on the block who will tell you something different, but don't listen to them. Just know, as the guest on this show that you're watching, I absolutely was smoking people at go-karts.
So I'm wondering, outside of Exeter, outside of this like space, like what are people not going to know about you? Maybe that you wish you could talk about more, but people don't even know to ask.
Yeah, it's a good question. Honestly, the first thing that came up, and I mentioned this a bit earlier, but I wish people would ask me more about, well, two things. One, in general, I wish people would ask me more about like what are the things that bring me joy outside of work, because I think so much of the way that we interact with people is about wanting to understand what their status is based off of what they've accomplished. And I think this is especially true for like how adults engage with each other. I think it's one of the few ways that adults know how to make small talk, but I do wish that people in general, students and adults, would ask me more about just like what are the things outside of work that really I'm engaged with or like bring me joy. And then secondly, I wish people would ask me more about like my music. I don't make music. I actually am an aspiring DJ. I don't have plans to be famous. I just want to learn a skill set that seems like really fun, and I would love to learn how to produce music. So I'm always listening to producers who I think their sound is like super creative, and just like loving the way that they share their process with people, because it's really intricate, really interesting. And it's just something that's not within my wheelhouse right now, but it's something that I appreciate a lot. So while I don't have plans to be the next local SoundCloud producer or DJ, I would love to engage in learning the craft. But music also is like super big for the way that I'm just like, the way that I figure out how to vibe, regardless of what season I'm in emotionally. So whether I'm like bummed about something, or whether I'm hype, or whether I'm just kind of chilling, music is a really great sounding board for me to just like be able to reflect on what I'm feeling in a current moment. And there's nothing like a really good song or a really good set or a really dope instrumental to like get me in a zone that's like not necessarily intellectual, but just like reflective, or if nothing else, I just get to vibe like and stress free. So that's what music does for me. And I wish I was able to talk more about what I'm listening to and the history of the things that I'm listening to, because I'm also learning a lot about things like house music and the deep history that house music has. Because growing up, the idea that I had of house music was that only certain people are allowed to listen to it, and all of it's like, but like deep house from South Africa, Amapiano, like so much is happening. So it's dope to be able to be in that.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I've told you, but I work on music production.
Okay,
in
dope.
Like Ableton.
Yeah,
you know?
So maybe you might have to teach me, man.
Yeah, facts.
Low key.
That'd be a good like collab.
Yeah, I love
like
that.
The DJ house, you know.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so I want to know something like kind of like fun, like something small but just like fun, like outside of work. Like, is it you're watching YouTube on like disc golf, or like how to cook something, or like like whatever. Like,
so you know, one of the things that I think people would probably be surprised. I think this would actually be a surprise for most people, and I don't know how much people know about this game now, but I actually sometimes will spend some time on YouTube watching RuneScape videos, man. So RuneScape is like an MMO RPG. I used to play it a lot back in the day as a kid, but I'm a grown adult, and like it's a point and click game. So it's like it has a lot of technical skill involved, but a lot of the things that I like to do are very chill. Like I'll have just the other day, I had my character just like woodcut a tree for like an hour. But it's not really about like me doing something super active in the game. It's what I love about it is that it gives you the flexibility to like make your own adventure. And no one task is more important than another, because you get to curate your own journey. So if you want to be a super sweat and play super optimal, fair enough, you got it. But if you want to just chill and AFK, like that's my vibe. So I love a good RuneScape video, man. And it's definitely a game where you're like slaying dragons and like other kind of monsters, but I just be chilling.
that's interesting. I want to touch on this real quick, just because I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Before this, you told me that I think it was like your pops that was in a band, was it?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's really interesting.
Yeah,
Tell
so
me about
my
that.
dad actually my dad used to be the lead singer of his own band. It's a musical genre based out of Colombia called vallenato. And yeah, my dad used to like growing up. I used to see him write lyrics. He would print them out and have them in a binder, and he would like go over them at like on his bedside and just like rehearse lines. And then on Saturday, him and the group would be downstairs, and they would just be like playing all this like original music. And I never thought too much about it up until like you had talked to me and asked me some kind of questions before today. And I was sitting there like, yo, I wonder if that's a big part of where I got my love for music from. And I'm like, I don't sing necessarily. I was part of a choir in high school where I did sing, but it wasn't my jam. But my dad also loves music a lot. And so I think I got that love of music from him. And honestly, growing up and listening to different kinds of genres based out of Latin America and then hip hop and R&B, I think it slowly helped to open me up to where I am now, where I'm listening to like house music and music from Brazil, like bossa nova, like all the lo-fi, like all of these different genres of music. But until you asked me that just now, I guess I hadn't recognized how my dad might have set the foundation for a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, it's been a great conversation so far. I'm so glad to have you on. I have a few more questions just before we wrap up.
Absolutely.
So first, give me like a quick lineup of like top 3 artists on Spotify right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, in no particular order. My top 3 artists on Spotify, probably K Tronada. Let's see. Leon Thomas. Leon Thomas. And oh my goodness, there's so many. Okay, this person's not on Spotify and they're a DJ, but she's one of my favorite DJs as of recent. DJ Mia Moore. She's based out of the UK. I don't know if it's London, but I know she's in the UK somewhere, and she's incredible DJ, and her set lists are always super, super dope. So I know she's not on Spotify, so it's a bit of a cop-out, but those are like my top 3 in no particular order right now. Yeah.
If nothing is changing about you, what genre of like culture would you want to be like right now? Like a lot of people are like, yo, 80s music is the best.
Okay.
Maybe it could be like the art, like the paintings from like, I don't know, Banksy in like the 90s, I guess.
You know what? Honestly, I would love to experience what it was like when disco music was at its peak. Because recently I've been in a heavy disco bag, and it's not just the sound, but it seems like the culture around disco music was so dope. And I would have loved to have experienced it when it was at its peak. Like, I honestly just started listening, so I don't necessarily have like a favorite artist or know like the discography of really dope disco. But I think I would have, like, I'm just not even just like the fashion, but I think just the culture around like people going to a place to just dance. Because now when you like, if you were to go somewhere, even like students going to a dance party on campus, folks might not be willing to dance because folks are afraid of being recorded. But like imagine a time where people were not pressed about cameras or video being videotaped, like how vulnerable folks were willing to be on the dance floor, like just to vibe. And I always think about that. I'm like, what does it take to like thrive in an environment like that? Like that'd be dope to kind of witness. So maybe something like that.
So like if you're at one of these dances here at Exeter, and most of them are gonna have like a few kids dancing, which like props to them.
Yeah.
And then like a big circle, like what is that? Is that aura farming? If we're talking about our soul to soul talk, is that just like the times? Like what's going on there?
That's a great question, bro. Honestly, my read on that would be way different than like what you and your peers would say about what that is. So for some people, it might be you're trying to aura farm. For other people, you might be a little performative. Yeah. For me, I'm like, yo, power to you, because I don't know that I would be in a circle dancing when like I know my peers and the homies have phones. Like I don't know. So for me, I feel like even if your dance moves are a little dry or a little stale, you off rhythm, the fact that you got the audacity to dance in front of people in a circle, despite all the social risks per se, for me that feels like big aura. But I know for other people it'd be like, nah, bro, like what are you doing? So I think it depends on who you ask, but I think it's dope.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, last question.
Okay.
If students could take one thing away from KPM after knowing you, what would that be?
If students could take one thing away from just my experiences and what I've shared today, and in general for those who might have a relationship with me, I would say that one big takeaway that I would love people to understand about the way that I operate is, because humans are biologically wired to want to be seen by other people, I'm always going to make the effort to like make sure that at some point when I am engaging with you that you feel seen. So whether that's me affirming what you shared with me, giving you a fist bump on the path, or just like being able to laugh together about something and like or have like a really intellectual conversation, I'm always looking for ways to help people understand that like I see you beyond just your intellectual performance and what you produce in the classroom at the Harkness table. Like there's so much more to you than that. And I hope that I can give you the space to embrace that. And for you not to feel like you have to perform when you're around me as an adult who's in a particular position of power. And that would mean a lot to me. So that's what I want folks to take away.
It's a wrap.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
KPM, everybody.